Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today for this special edition of the Star Road Podcast. Tyler, how are you?
I'm good, man. This is like the Triangle Strategy special deluxe version of the podcast.
We've talked about the game enough, but today it's pretty much all about it.
Pretty much, yeah. We have a little bit of it in every segment, and then a lot in the discussion, obviously. But
we're getting
pretty
it all
exciting.
Out. Yep, and we're going to talk about the release, of course, but perfect timing for the birthday of mine.
Yeah, man.
Which we're kind of pre-gaming on.
Yeah, everything we're talking today is kind of like it's perfect for just birthday and just general hype feelings.
Oh shit, yeah. A few things on here, man. Just perfect timing for us to be excited about and talk about.
Yep.
But really, we've kind of dedicated the program today to Triangle Strategy.
Absolutely.
Aside from the news, expect complete in-depth coverage of this game.
Yep.
I mean, we've danced around it, and this is the time, T.
And we're gonna we'll get more into it then, but it's gonna be a very spoiler heavy. We're not really pulling any punches, so if that kind of thing doesn't bother you, if you're already familiar with kind of the end game of the game, it'll be perfect for you. If you're just coming to the game and you don't want any story spoilers, any mechanical spoilers, do not watch this segment. I mean, that's just all I can say. Unless you're completely fine with getting spoiled on most aspects of the game, then it's not for you. Otherwise, we're going to just go in depth. So, I mean, really excited.
Tyler's going to be exposing things to me that I don't even know. So
yeah, but we'll get more into it. We'll get more into the details. We do want to have a normal news segment this week since we kind of slacked a little bit last week with the direct. The whole thing was just news nonstop.
Yeah, it was a lot to go through, man. So I mean, it was news in itself. This time we have a proper news segment.
Yep.
And the first point we're touching upon is very exciting. You actually revealed this to me. I had no clue until you texted me. But you can now purchase the Steam Deck dock, the official docking station. This is exciting. We've talked about this.
And this is fresh. This is hot off the presses, man. This happened I almost want to say yesterday or the day before I sent this to you.
Man.
Because I sent it to you as soon as I saw it.
Yeah. They talked about delays because of the pandemic and the parts and everything like that. So it's crazy that they kind of just dropped it without an update.
Yep. And, it was originally intended for, I think, Q1 of this year, Q2. But, the fact that they're still going to get out this year before the holidays, before, the end of the year, it's awesome because it said straight away expected delivery date 1 to 2 weeks. That's what you love to see.
That's what I was going to say, man. I mean, what a turnaround from delay to you order this, you're getting it in 1 to 2 weeks.
That's amazing. So I'm glad that they didn't play around with us, right? They kind of, when they were ready, here it is, We haven't had a lot of news other than that.
I think they knew the sooner that this got out, the better, because everybody with the deck was dying for this.
Absolutely. You and I both bought a USB hub. I haven't really toyed around with it too much. I didn't get one. Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
Nope.
I bought a USB hub. I've tried it a little bit. I think the newest firmware update that came with this kind of announcement, it was supposedly supposed to kind of improve the docked performance because there was a little bit finicky with it, kind of when it detected keyboard inputs, the display, it really didn't seem as seamless as you would hope, at least with the USB hub that I have. But I haven't tried it since this firmware update, and they said that it was going to improve performance on all docks and hubs. And they did a lot of changes to improve that. So excited to try it out with mine. I still am on the fence if I'm going to buy the official one. It's priced, reasonably for sure. I'm leaning towards it, but hopefully this is not a limited availability thing. So I kind of maybe I'll wait to see because I feel like you're going to jump all over this.
I think it said you can order it until February 24th, something like that. So they did have an end time.
Okay, but it's a ways out.
I don't know what that means.
That's interesting. Maybe that'll be when the next revision comes out or something.
Not sure. Anyway, you do have until, February 24th, I believe was the date on what you sent me. So there is some time to get this. And if you can get it in 1 to 2 weeks, this isn't a pre-order situation. This is not like the Steam Deck.
This is an order, yeah.
This is a ready-to-ship, basically, item. But
anything from the spec sheet jump out at you? I pulled it up here a little bit as a screenshot, but...
Yeah. Aside from the specs, one thing I wanted to say, though, Tyler, is... This I'm very excited to get, but it's funny to think how I've enjoyed the Steam Deck handheld so much. I almost don't feel like as soon as you sent it to me, I had to drop the buy.
I wasn't sure if it was an immediate for you or not.
For me, it's a very shortly hereafter.
Yeah,
basically is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm definitely going to be getting this, but the performance handheld and everything almost makes you feel not so rushed to get it.
Absolutely,
especially because. With gaming and pickups, I've been playing some things that are handheld friendly.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I'll definitely be getting it. As far as the specs, though, man, I mean, everything checks out here,
I know they updated this a few months ago. They kind of added a little bit more info and stuff like that, I guess, as they came out with a redesign for the actual production cycle. But
three USB ports is definitely
that's what you
reasonable.
Want. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Built-in Ethernet, obviously clutch,
it had to be there.
That's probably the biggest reason to get a dock is just to be able to hardwire in if you're going to be doing something like.
If you couldn't hardwire this, I wouldn't get it.
Yeah. If you're going to be doing something like CSGO, right, you're not going to play this on Wi-Fi. There's no way.
Yeah, but actually we could probably use our adapter, I bet, too.
Probably so, but not everyone is going to have that from Switch ownership, just hanging out. And it also
takes up one of your 3 USBs and turns it into a 2 USB.
Absolutely. But yeah, everything else here checks out, like you said. Excited to see that the power adapter is the exact same as for the Steam Deck itself. So the two should be interchangeable. It's almost like you're getting an extra free charger with this. Which is nice.
Yep. Absolutely, bro. I mean, at some point, your charger's going to shit out. The cables shit out. That's just how things go,
Yep.
So an extra charger, very handy. Because when it shits out, you can just go grab another one. It happened to me.
Yep.
I had a charger shit out. And, they had a crazy sale one time on chargers. I think I got one for like $20 brand new. And it was just sitting, on the shelf. And I grabbed it and was like, charger ready.
Nice.
No issue.
Awesome.
But yeah, man.
Excited for the Steam Deck dock. Excited to hear your review of it because I imagine you'll be getting one probably before I do. I'll check out the before and after of my hub and see if it's a big difference, and we can kind of report back on both of those things.
I'll be getting this in the coming month or two, guaranteed. So we could definitely talk about it whenever I get it. And that actually might be an interesting segment to kind of compare whatever dock you have with the official. And just kind of give the people a comparison, firsthand. Sure.
I expect that, the official one is going to perform a lot better. I mean, that's a given. But I want to see, before what I had, I wouldn't even consider it necessarily something that I would want to go on and play Rocket League with, right? Which that's one of my things that I'm most likely to want to play docked. It didn't seem great. I tried to run Skyrim, wouldn't really pick up my inputs correctly. So I'm going to run it back now, try a couple of those things. Yeah, try a couple of those things out and see.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that. Makes me more skeptical of the third-party dock thing. That's why I held off. I knew they were going to have this available eventually, and I figured I could rock it handheld till then.
And I feel like because they didn't have an official dock yet, they didn't fully put in the support, but I feel like that's kind of what this firmware update might address. So I'll give a report back on the before and after there.
Definitely. But how about we talk Pokemon, dude?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit different on the YouTube side here. Just going to kind of let this new trailer go as we talk. We're not necessarily live reacting or anything, but this will just give us a kind of, the visual element that we want. But yeah, we get a new trailer for Scarlet and Violet, man. A big trailer.
It's a big trailer, 14-minute long trailer.
It was awesome. I really enjoyed this video.
Oh, yeah. This definitely, they've been dropping so many pieced out videos. Little just, you get a piece of it here, a piece of it there. Little short 2-3 minute videos. They drop them frequently, but this was a pretty big one.
My excitement level for this game has only gone up with each one.
No question. This is looking, coming off of Sword and Shield, this is exactly the upgrade you probably expected.
Definitely.
When you look at this game and you see it in action, just firsthand, visually, graphically, this looks like exactly where you would have imagined it evolving from Sword and Shield after getting Arceus.
Yep, because it's melding some of the overworld elements of Arceus with your traditional kind of Pokemon formula. And it looks like it sort of iterates on what Sword and Shield did with the wild area and kind of gave it a little bit more fleshing out, right? The wild area in that game, it was awesome, but it was just one area, right? It was one area divided up amongst things. So this makes it feel like the whole overworld is going to be kind of alive in that way, and I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. Do you also love Lechonk?
Yeah, man. Lechonk is
Bro.
He's just beautiful.
Lechonk he's like the new Spoink, kind of. He's like that new generation,
Absolutely.
But this whole Terra thing they've got going on, this is the most interesting thing. This changes the game completely.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting now that we know exactly how it works. Like, Pokemon are going to have 3 types basically while they're in this form, up to.
And that type could be any of 18 types, they said. It changes how you build your party. It changes everything.
Absolutely.
This is kind of something you would have thought would have been a no-brainer to be like a wow new feature to a Pokemon game.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh shit, any Pokemon with any type. And man, this is a big fucking transition, don't you think?
Yeah, it's gonna make a lot. It's gonna make a lot of interesting strategic choices, and I think that is what I'm most excited about, right? Because now you can build your team around having an additional typing. I don't know if they said in here, if they've said separately how this is going to work in terms of the number of times you can do this or the number of Pokemon in your party that can do this. Kind of like Mega Evolution, you could only Mega Evolve once with one team member, right? And same for Dynamax. So
I think that the fact that they show that you look out for the ones in the wild that have that shine where they have like a Terra attribute. Mm-hmm. I think the fact that exists probably means that you would be correct on them saying you're limited to how you can do it. Like you can't just get one and just do it.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point too. Like, if I catch 6 of them, can I have 6 Terra Pokemon all going? That's an interesting thought, right?
You mean like a whole party of Pokemon?
A whole party of Terra Pokemon, yeah.
I think absolutely. All it does is change the type.
I don't know.
So essentially, you could have 6 of the same Pokemon in the story and just rock through it with different Terras on them.
That sounds fun. That would make for some interesting challenges and challenge run type things.
Hey, and if you really like one Pokemon, hey, here's your time to have a whole party of different types of it. Shit,
that's an interesting thought.
It's looking really interesting, Tyler. I got to tell you. It's kind of like the perfect in between of Arceus and Sword and Shield. Kind of the Let's Go feature on here is very interesting because it's like automatic combat.
Yeah, it makes you wonder: can I sit here and play this like an RTS where I'm sending 6 Pokemon out to do 6 different things at once? Like that would be sweet.
Yeah, that reminds me, dude. Recently, I recall. I said RTS instead of turn-based strategy for like when I was talking about triangle strategy. And when I thought about that afterwards, I was like, why did I say that? 2 totally different things.
That's okay.
But the Let's Go feature on here is interesting because you kind of toss your Pokemon out Arceus style, like when you were harvesting items and shit like that. But it almost seems like there's a battle going on that's just automatic. That's very new.
That's interesting.
That's completely new. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah, like with items and stuff like that in Arceus, but certainly not with battling, automatedly. That's definitely interesting.
Yeah, and this whole TM creator thing is interesting also.
Yeah, it solves an interesting problem of getting TMs. They've tackled it different ways in the last few games, so it looks like you might just be able to craft TMs as needed, which is pretty cool.
You know what this is all pointing towards to me, man? This being a very popular competitive Pokemon game.
I could see it.
I just see this. There's a lot of story content here.
They haven't put a lot of emphasis on the competitive side. I mean, the categories at Worlds included Gen 7. So I think that you could be right, and they could be trying to establish like a very prominent competitive scene with this. And I love to see it.
If they didn't, it would be a missed opportunity, because I just feel like this is all setting up to have a whole new assortment of Pokemon that are like competitively viable.
Yep. And I'm excited for that, man.
And for everything to be, it just seems like if you were to want to build a competitive team and do serious shit with it, you have so much freedom to do so much.
Absolutely.
So they would be setting this up for a very, very successful multiplayer here. I mean, we're not talking about, Dynamax raids. We're talking about the traditional, just aside from the 4-player co-op, like us actually running around together. We talked about that before. That's one of the biggest draws of this game to me.
Most definitely.
Is the fact that it's not like we said, the creepy kind of your friend exists as an NPC.
Like the doppelgangers. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I know it's not you. It's an NPC, How about this new giraffe rig form?
Dude, I was going to mention that too. We are big giraffe rig fans from Gen 2.
We love giraffe rigs so much. There's a few of those Gen 2s that really, really touch your heart, and giraffe rig's one of them.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of the only ones from Gen 2 that was kind of like a single form that didn't get any love for a long time, right? You saw Misdreavus, you saw Murkrow got evolutions, but giraffe rig was always left out until now. So excited to see my boy Farigiraffe.
Farigiraffe. Yeah, dude. I think when we were youngins, you were the one who actually was like, "Have you ever thought about the fact that giraffe rig spelled backwards is giraffe rig?"
Yeah.
And up until that point, I don't think it had occurred to me.
Yeah.
But it was a Taco Cat situation. I never really said it backwards.
Race car.
Oh, race car. That's another good one. I never thought about that one.
Yeah. But I think that about covers it on the Pokemon side. I actually did go ahead and get my pre-order in for Violet. That's a double pack situation for me. Yep. Went ahead and made that shake. So excited to get this on release day. Excited to start terastallizing. Always. Yeah. It's going to be great. Oh, man.
It's going to be back to the Pokemon hype. And I feel like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was some of the hypest hype to me, man. So if anything, that upped the excitement for getting a new installment. And Arceus. I mean, we can't leave Arceus out. Backlog serious.
No question. But let's move on, Sterling. We can segue into the news that we did actually discuss this last episode.
We did. We brought it up briefly.
It deserves its own whole discussion point here. And we won't linger on this too long because we are talking about triangle strategy all day today. But
yes,
it is coming out on Steam very soon, 4 days from now. So that's really exciting. And it is on sale. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. Hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Always talking about sales.
Announced for Steam. And it's funny because 2 episodes ago, I mentioned, oh man, I would love to see this come to Steam for modding and workshop content and stuff like that. And it was about the next day that we noticed that this was a thing that you noticed and told me. And it was just such a strange coincidence because we genuinely pondered out loud when it was coming to Steam right before it got announced. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep, and it of course, if we would have had news last time, it would have been a main.
No, yeah, of course.
a main thing. Now, I don't have it pulled up, but they had something a little alarming on the Steam page, though. It just kind of seems like there's going to be some blockage to any type of altering of the game.
The de novo anti-cheat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see what comes of that. We'll see what comes of that.
You know, that could be everything or nothing, but I feel like it's a red flag for maybe the workshop content that we dreamed of.
Or just the third-party modding content.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yep. We'll see how it impacts that. I'm hopeful that what I really want to see is just fan improvements, ROM hacks, like, you know, even if somebody could build out a character builder where you can actually, you know, all the tools are there, right, to just build any kind of character you want because the system is so structured. So if this game gets really popular, that's what gives it more hope to get more fan created content. So we're banging the drum for the Steam release. Like, if you haven't played this game, highly recommend it. There's a demo on Switch. I keep saying that every time. Like, this game's great.
I've been begging my little brother to download it and just try it.
And you may feel at the beginning like the story is a bit of a drag. There are 2-hour cutscenes, you know, if you're letting it autoplay. Just stick with it. You can always, you know, just stick with it. That's what I would say. The story is very good. I like the story a lot. It's not for everybody, right? That's one thing I will say is, you know, in seeing some people's comments online, a lot of people don't vibe with the story as hard as you and I do. But I think it's great, and
That's disappointing to hear.
Nothing's for everyone, right? But I do think that it is worth the cutscene length and worth it. And we'll talk about that more. But it's out on Steam probably by the time you listen to this. So go ahead and just pick it up.
Yep, the 13th. It's happening. I got to tell you, Tyler, I actually think even without the workshop content, I still want it on Steam.
I want to see what they have for achievements, right? I want to see if they have a ton of achievements that look really fun to get. That's gonna be like really exciting on its own.
If they had like 60 plus achievements, that'd be awesome.
That'd be insane. And if they had stuff that's like challenge run type stuff, you know, beat a battle with only X character or something like that. God,
dude, yeah,
that's what you want.
I mean, that's exactly what you want. And just the fact that I'd be able to rock, you know, if they came out with badges and shit, you already know I'm gonna rock a triangle strategy badge on my profile. No, I mean, I love the game that much, you know.
Absolutely.
Things like that, you know, that's not any type of reason to purchase it, of course, but it being present like that is cool. You know, suddenly there's triangle strategy cards and, you know, like the Steam items and shit like that. It's just cool to have it present, just around, you know.
I agree.
So very exciting on that.
And we had a lot of, you know, last thing I'll say on this particular topic is this is going to be perfect for Steam Deck. I hope it's just check mark from day one. But if you're a Steam Deck player and that's how you found our podcast, this is going to be the exact tempo that I play my Steam Deck for, right? The game moves as fast or as slow as you want it to. And I love that. That's what I look for the most.
Yep. The game will hold your hand as much as you want to or don't want it to. Also, I mean, you know, the whole game I kept the guide hidden. But if you need the guide, you can have the guide. Just press the left stick in, you know. Mm-hmm. Just very user friendly. But that's just one of many reasons why it's perfect on Steam Deck. It's just the perfect type of game for the Steam Deck, and it's going to look beautiful. And I hope there's nothing weird that prevents it from being checkmarked, but assuming that it is, that's going to be great. I hope that, and I know some anti-cheats can cause issues with the Steam Deck or stuff like that, so hopefully that doesn't come up. But we'll report back next episode one way or the other. Definitely, man. I kind of wanted to just get some quick boomer shooter news out of the way. We recently had Realms Deep 2022. That's 3D Realms showcase they do once a year. a lot of cool old shooters that I'm always, interested in hearing about. Just a couple of announcements they went through. Before that, though, now I wanted to mention Doom and Doom 2, like the classic versions you purchase on Switch or PC or anything like that, now come with community content, kind of like
Quake,
the add-ons. And so I went ahead and fired them up, and I already had them on both platforms. Fired them up, saw what they had. Man, it's a lot of shit, man. And I was interested to see that Sigil, the recent one from John Romero, he made a whole pack of maps and everything that was included in there.
Awesome.
So there's quite a bit of shit in Doom and Doom 2. If you haven't picked it up, it's a great reason to pick it up. I think if they did this for the intent of selling the old games, it's a great, you can get these packs elsewhere. You can download these add-ons anywhere, I'm sure, for free.
But just having them in-game, Steam Deck considerations when you think about this, right?
Definitely. It's so accessible. You don't have to go through the problem of installing them, downloading them, and that type of thing, integrating them. Now you can just, fire up one thing on Steam and they're all there.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool, man. It's cool that they integrate that and that they add to these games that are very old, just, re-releases. You wouldn't think they get any type of care, attention, or new features,
Yeah, they're definitely sticking with, Quake we've talked about a lot, and then to see Doom still getting love, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, and they're slowly, I don't always catch up with it because they slowly add things to the Quake add-ons, but whenever they do the Sega Saturn port, if that happens, that's when I'll be really talking about it, because I'm really holding out for that, man. I just wanted 64, which we got, and Saturn. I want to play the Saturn version on PC, really. That would be amazing.
Can you play it on the Switch Online? Oh, no, that's Genesis. Never mind. Ignore me. They do have some... never mind. Anywho, we'll move on from that.
Yeah, no, not a big deal, man. They announced a sequel to Ion Fury. That's a game I've talked about on this podcast a few times. Now, this is like a full 3D actual sequel to the game. That's pretty cool to see. Normally, I wouldn't bat an eye at like a newer 3D type game, you know what I'm saying? Like a shooter that's not really trying to be throwback, Mm-hmm. But the fact that it's a sequel to Ion Fury is really awesome. So I wanted to bring that up for sure.
Awesome.
Just 2023. That's all we got on it. I brought up to you that New Blood teased a Twisted Metal car combat type game.
Yes, you sure did.
Now that's something I think you'd be into as well, because we both played Twisted Metal when we were younger.
Absolutely, it was a huge part of my childhood gaming.
I only ever owned 3. That's the one that I owned. That's the one I know front to back. Other people had other ones, so I got to play, some of the other ones. You showed me Black. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. When you introduced me to Twisted Metal Black, my mind was blown.
Yeah, that was about the last one that was even play. I mean, that probably was the last one that I would consider playable.
Yeah, but
1 through 4 were goated for sure.
Oh, no question. Just owning 3, I was happy enough. Man, it's crazy that I don't talk about that game because I really played it a lot when I was younger. I
did too. I played 2 and 3 a lot.
I can't remember how much I played of 2, but I remember it a little bit.
2 was awesome.
Gloomwood, they did mention. They showed a first look at the new Armored Guard and also said the Blood Moon difficulty would be coming soon. There's a lot of difficulties on this game, like there is with most of these shooters. But Blood Moon, I think, is supposed to be pretty hard. And I think it's all scaled to how much damage is done to you. I think to items, like how much you find, kind of like Resident Evil type difficulty, Mm-hmm. So cool to see him announcing more shit for Gloomwood. That's an early access, but you would expect to see it moving. So they're doing a remaster of Chasm the Rift. I don't know if I ever talked about that game, but it's kind of like it's kind of like Quake before Quake. Kind of, It was in that same. It's just impressive what they did there. Kind of the first 3D, like full 3D shooter kind of. I don't know if it came out before or after Quake off top, but it was, in that same time, and
Sure.
they made strides with what they did with the game. But that's set to release 10/10/22. I think that's already out, or no, tomorrow. Wow.
Nice.
But they talked about a lot on there, but I think that covers everything that really blew me away. They talked about a Rise of the Triad re-release, kind of like they did with Power Slave. I'm into that. But the next thing I really haven't talked to you about, and I'm wondering what you're thinking about. Because we got a direct for the Mario movie.
We sure did. So full disclosure, I have seen the trailer. I did not watch the direct. I don't know how much more was in the direct than the trailer itself.
It was just, I watched the direct and really it was Miyamoto. And then it went over to Chris Pratt. And then it went over to Jack Black. And then they Illumination's, I guess, CEO talked for a bit. And they showed us an official trailer. And then Miyamoto got back on and basically, they really, really hyped this up. I'm not trying to be judgmental here or anything, but I thought Chris Pratt he seemed kind of insincere about his fandom and history with Mario. You said you didn't watch the direct?
No, sir.
I think you would have gotten the same vibe from me.
Probably so.
He was kind of like, oh, well, I played Mario at my laundromat, and I later on I played it at home, and he's just like, he was like, I thought when I really thought it was full of shit was when he was like, I probably played it for years. I'm like, that statement right there makes me feel like he's just,
I don't know. I don't really get just a good vibe from Chris Pratt as an actor or anything. Like, I don't think he's terrible, but he just doesn't do anything for me.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Whenever they came out with whatever the first new Jurassic Park was, I thought his performance in that was shit. It was terrible.
That's a different podcast, but
I'm just saying. But it's topical here, Tyler.
I didn't even see it because of my disinterest, which was partially or more than in part due to Chris Pratt being, the star. And I like Parks and Rec, right? He was funny in that, but I just don't know if he's that much better than that, for me.
The thing about it is, I'm going to be honest with you, the trailer didn't put me off.
Okay. That's cool. I
was wondering what you thought about it. I actually am not really heartbroken or anything. I'm not put off.
For me, I don't know why, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure I will see this, but I just haven't felt any kind of excitement about it. I don't know why.
This is the thing. When I saw that they kind of pitched the voices to fit the character, that really comforted me. When I realized that, when Bowser was talking, it didn't really sound purely 100% like Tenacious D, Jack Black. They have effects on it to where he sounds much more, big and aggressive. Same thing with Toad. You can tell that they really upped the pitch to match the character.
I feel like
they didn't just Eddie Murphy donkey them.
Right. I think that the plot may end up being that Chris Pratt is a human that gets somehow stuck in Mario's body. I saw a lot of people speculating about that because Charles Martinet obviously is still among the cast. So that could just be to voice the hoops and the hop. But, it could also be maybe Chris Pratt, or a real person gets stuck, because when Mario comes out of the pipe, he's shocked at what he's seeing in the trailer.
That I got that vibe, and I actually didn't know that what you just said. So that's interesting to me.
What, that Charles Martinet is in the cast?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in the at the end of the trailer. He was when they slammed all the names down, he was second to last, and his name was only on screen for a second. I had to go back and space bar on the trailer to even see it.
I didn't catch that. I really didn't.
So I saw some people speculating maybe it's a situation where it's a man stuck in Mario's body or something. I think that tracks. just based on Mario's kind of behavior at the beginning of the trailer. He's like going up to a toad, doesn't know what a toad is, doesn't know what mushrooms are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, this place is totally new to him.
So I could see it being something like that, which I could probably tolerate that much easier than that's just Mario and it's Chris Pratt.
He's probably going to get sucked into the TV or into the NES or something.
I can see it something like that for sure.
And that's fine. And that actually would answer why he doesn't speak Italian or
sound Italian.
That's what I mean. Why he doesn't sound Italian whatsoever? Because that was one of the first things people said, of course.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of positive reactions to this, but also the first thing people were saying, he's not talking with an Italian accent. Yeah. That's for sure.
I'll reserve judgment on this, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not ticking days off on the calendar, holding my breath for this one. But I will see it, and if it's awesome, then I'll be really excited. But I'm not like. I've been let down by these before.
Granted that the theaters are open and active, I'm gonna go see this. I have to. I feel like I have to, man.
Maybe we'll have to make a trip out of it if we can line up some sort of.
The trailer didn't make me, say just fuck this completely or anything like that. I actually will go see this.
I agree. I didn't think the trailer was bad. I definitely felt like the trailer kept my interest from going down, which I went into the trailer maybe expecting to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, did they give us a release date on the movie or no? Oh, no, they just gave us progress. They give us progress on where they were.
I want to say it was they've initially talked about like holiday of next year. Maybe
they said that they're going to be wrapping up animation here shortly. I think they said in like 11 days or something like that from the direct, and that they were going to begin scoring it and doing the lighting and composite, I believe.
I don't hate how the characters look. They're a little too realistic for my taste, but they don't lose. They don't. It's not like the first Sonic, right, where you're just cringing.
The only thing is that I feel like they kind of Sonic'd Mario. Now look, everything else looked in order. I think like Bowser
looked cool and Toad looked fine. Just looking at this screenshot.
Yeah, Kamek, aka Magic Koopa, that was fine. That bringing me into the trailer, just the way it was voiced. Yeah. The animation, I was like, I'm okay, I'm watching. It's funny that the penguins were like the opposite. That's like one of those funny, like Madagascar type jokes. But to me, it's funny because we used to throw those penguins off the edge. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So like that's our childhood. So to us, that hits us differently. But I thought Bowser's entrance was cool. That's definite. I think it was very cool. I thought I was going to be very disappointed for some reason because Jack Black's voicing him, but it definitely felt like Bowser, and that's what really was like. Okay. This is this. Nintendo's working close with the production of this. You got to keep that in mind. I don't think they're going to let.
They're not going to let it get completely screwed up. I do agree with that.
But of course, the only gray area is featuring big names, considering one person over the other just because of the money it might bring at the box office. Nintendo creates, shit true to Mario, but at the same time, they are a business that is in the business of making money.
Of course.
But I'm personally looking forward to the trailer.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the movie, man.
We'll talk more about it. Obviously, we'll probably have a full discussion on it when it comes out.
Yes, we will, my friend. How about we get into gaming and pickups? You want to start us off, bro?
Yeah, I will start us off. So, a little bit different this time around. A little bit different stuff. Hasn't just been straight Slay the Spire and Triangle Strategy like the last probably 5 gaming and pickups before this. Like, pretty excited. Wife and I finally finished the story of Luigi's Mansion 3. And
awesome.
Yeah, awesome. That was really, really fun. Really exciting boss fights at the end. Definitely challenging.
That was the plans for Halloween. Just playing some Luigi's Mansion 3 just because it's kind of like a tradition now since it came out recent Halloween.
Yeah. Big props to the team that made that game because it's awesome.
And the graphics, I use that as the benchmark for like Switch graphics
Sure,
now. When
yeah.
I bring up graphics being good, I always refer to it because it's a benchmark to me for them.
Yeah. I've been playing Pokemon Go a little bit. It's a little small here, but I've been getting a little bit treated with shinies lately. I got a shiny Eevee and a shiny Rhyhorn recently. So knowing that
You put the actual screenshot.
Yeah, so knowing that those can transfer over to home and stuff like that is pretty exciting.
Hey.
That knowledge and that capability is pretty much the only thing that keeps me playing Pokemon Go, but I've been playing it quite a bit recently.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, definitely just pretty much anywhere I go, like just pop out, go, catch whatever's around. There's a lot of fun challenges and stuff. So yeah, I've been really enjoying the game.
And Pokemon Home changes it completely. We didn't have Pokemon Home whenever this dropped. So
Correct. Yeah, that makes a big difference. Yeah,
you get to have these shinies, man.
Exactly. Yep. So that's pretty fun. Age of Empires 2 DE. It's been a while between drinks of water on this one, but I absolutely love AoE 2, and I had some, computer front time recently, and I was able to play a few campaigns and stuff like that. Still want to eventually complete all the campaigns in the game. They added so many over the years between all the versions and everything. There's a ton of campaigns I've never even touched or even looked at. So I really want to get through some of those. And then Pokemon Yellow, I actually was playing that on my Super Game Boy. And I'm starting to think, I mentioned this a little bit, but I kind of want to really do as much as I can to complete my copies of Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. So that kind of starts with playing a Gen 1 game, of Pokemon, probably through to completion. I want to actually get a team together to take on since I have the transfer pack, to go through the games and have teams and Pokemon, specifically designed for it. Kind of we did that a little bit when we were kids, but not with the knowledge that we have now. And I've never done anything grind an all level 50 team for the Prime Cup or whatever, so I think that would be really fun.
That's really awesome, bro. I mean, the Super Game Boy is one of my favorite accessories of all time. I mean, it's hard to even call it an accessory. To me, it's a system. It's a Game Boy,
and it plays awesome. I mean, it feels smooth.
Absolutely, man. And that's just so cool because you're playing Yellow with the intent of completing Stadium 2. I feel like you're going to dominate. I mean, we were good enough as kids, but with the knowledge you have now...
Yeah, man, those rental teams, they're very limited. So being able to do whatever I want, I think that's going to be awesome. But there's so much in Stadium. Like, you can unlock the Surfing Pikachu minigame. You can unlock Mewtwo in Stadium. There's all kind of stuff that I've never done. So I really want to get the analog Pokemon completion vibes that I've always sort of been building up to by holding on to these games and acquiring them, but never actually put time into. So pretty excited for that.
Shout out to Pilot Wing 64 is going to be available on the 13th, by the way. Speaking of 64.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah,
good shit, man.
So I'll keep you guys all apprised on my early Pokemon quest. I would like to have cool Pokemon or even shinies for the Stadium 2 mini games. That would be really sick. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, man, that's really exciting. You're definitely gonna have to keep us updated on that because that's really cool. Anytime you're playing Game Boy, Super Nintendo 64, it's got to be talked about, man. That's what it's all about.
I think I just needed a reason, and kind of trying to do everything in the Stadium games that I haven't done before is a pretty good reason.
Yeah, you found your reason. Good shit, man.
Let's hear about your stuff, man.
Well, Triangle Strategy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the day after we recorded, I had completed the story. And so, been chipping away at New Game Plus since. We'll be doing a lot of talking about it. So I'm not even going to sit here and, talk about it too much. But it has been a very big part of my gaming. Been playing some Mario Strikers Battle League every day, game or two, not too much, but had to get on and get my Diddy going. I mentioned it before briefly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I kind of, I've been pretty good about keeping up with every other day. I'll get on and play a match or two. People have gotten pretty good online, man. So I'm going to have to pick it up for sure. And we're definitely going to have to get on here and
Definitely.
See what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Get it back going. Especially with the new characters. We got to try out some of these new combos with the team. We like to experiment
Get
with
some of
our
this
sweet
better
spot.
gear.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing besides triangle strategy, I'm always switch sports bowling. That's just that's something I really kind of am salty. I wish I would have grown up with switch sports bowling, but I'm just thankful I have it now. But oftentimes, man, I kind of think of it like playing guitar. It's something that comes so naturally to me and is so fun and so satisfying. I kind of wish I could have had this exact game as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to feel the same about golf when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Me too, dude. Definitely. We're going to be having a great time talking about that, playing it. Creatures of Aether, I've actually been playing kind of like you play Slay the Spire, man. I kind of went beyond the dailies and have been, actually making attempts to rank up and really grind shit. I only have one achievement to get on Steam, and that's reach master rank.
I'm still working the achievements on Steam for Slay the Spire, man. There's a lot of time into those achievements,
dude.
Getting Ascension 20, that is a grind.
Some of the achievements on Slay the Spire are some of the most daunting achievements I've seen on any Steam game, really. Because whenever I started playing it and understanding the game, reading some of the achievements, I was like, wow, that seems really outlandish.
I haven't gotten the mod pack that is being pushed for that game, or not pushed, but the one that's available. Yeah, I haven't pulled that down yet.
Just download it on Steam, on the deck, man, for free.
I know. I haven't gotten it yet just because I'm just a purist at this point, and I still want to progress the core game.
Yeah. I totally understand, man.
But maybe I will get it. But I may turn it on and off if you can do that. But it's exciting to see that there is new content being made for the game. And I did read through everything about Downfall, and it looks really exciting. It looks like all the stuff they added, really, really cool new game modes and stuff. Sorry to derail your pickups here.
No, I'm sitting here telling you, you pick it up and pressuring you. I actually haven't even launched it. I mean, I've only played base game, but I have downloaded it and installed it.
I will.
Haven't gone beyond that though. But
I will be doing that.
Nothing left but Creatures of Aether, man. I just, of course, the screenshot shown is not my deck, by the way. I rock a fire deck. But one thing I wanted to mention, bro, every day they have a booster pack. You can get for 1,000 coins or whatever. And usually I'll grab the fire one every now and then. I'll grab a different one just to open a booster, But I actually pulled a Clarin, which is my secondary on Rival. So I thought that was awesome because I'd gotten one before, I guess, at some point. But pulling a legendary card in one of these boosters, I'm sure is the same on here as it is with any Magic for You or any deck building game where there's any type of booster situation. When you have a pop-off moment, whenever it's oh, shit, I pulled a card that you would have to normally pay real money for.
Sure.
So that was pretty cool. I think I just did that yesterday or the day before. Definitely pounding away at Creatures of Aether, though. Been enjoying that daily thing for me, man.
Awesome.
But that's about it. And triangle strategy being part of the gaming and pickups is definitely a great transition into what we're about to do, which is the rest of the episode dedicated to the one and only triangle strategy.
Yep. So I briefly touched on it to start, but we are going to talk about the game from a full perspective of people who have played the post game, and not pull any punches as far as spoilers or gameplay mechanics or any content, except we won't be talking about the plot details of the 4 specific endings. Once you kind of reach the final chapter or two, we're not going to get into any of that because it's really just plot, and it's not necessary to spoil that to have this conversation, right? And I also haven't played every ending. So we'll be saving that. But other than that, we're going to talk about pretty much everything there is to talk about. Review the game from the perspective of now we know everything there is to know just about of the games, and kind of just really give our recommendations for folks who might be interested and give a little bit of just context to our thoughts for the people who are already fans of the game.
Absolutely. We may or may not show off some of these at any point throughout this, by the way.
Yeah, that's a pretty spicy one right there.
But this game is a very special one. One thing I wanted to kick it off with, we've already reviewed the game after we had first gotten it and everything. But now, since we're talking post-game review, I wanted to go into this talking about our initial playthroughs. Now, without getting into the ending, as far as you want to go or not go, you kind of told me after I explained the order of events for me and the ending I got, you were like, it was the same for you. Like without speaking about anything in the game, you and I had made the same decisions and taken the same route.
More or less, yeah, from what I remember. Everything you told me.
If that is accurate, I mean, that's pretty impressive because it seems like it could have gone quite a few different ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices in this game that lead to some crazy situations, and you'll see that. So what I did on my second playthrough and what I assume you're doing is just taking any choice that you haven't taken previously to kind of see what plays out. And the path traveled on option in the menu, it makes a huge difference because you can kind of see the timeline of the choices you've made and see the details for each branching path and everything kind of laid out. And I think that's really neat. And it makes it really easy to pick choices that you haven't before because they're all color-coded with the 3 different conviction types.
Yep. And whenever I first got in the New Game Plus, that's I thought that was really cool that it showed you your recent path traveled on the prior playthrough. Mm-hmm. That's really cool that they keep that up for reference.
Yeah, it's all cumulative. So as you go through, you'll just add to it, right? And it's really, really nice.
Did you want to do any talking about decisions? I just wanted to ask you that as far as decisions in the story specifically that we made.
We can. I think.
We can go as deep or as not as you want, man. There's so much to talk about with this. This is so free form.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just wondering how far you want to go with it.
Yeah, just if you have a quick little rundown, just of your decisions, I guess. There's chapter, I think 2, where you can either go to Hyzant or Esfrost. I think you said you went to Hyzant, and that unlocks Quarantine.
Yep, and that's what. And of course, I didn't initially know. Picking Hyzant unlocks him. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, you don't know what unlocks what. You don't know where the characters are coming from. That's why when we get to the New Game Plus, having the conviction, having numbers on them is like the biggest hidden feature of this game. Like,
absolutely,
it's something that is happening throughout the entire time you play it. And you finally get to see what it is. And that's a big point, man. I recently got to that point. It's like, wow, now everything kind of, I don't know. You just have a whole new sense of the game because that's now available.
Absolutely. I assume so that happened in chapter 3 where you go. So I'm referencing mine here now so I can go through.
And I think you and I initially both went to Hyzant.
Yeah. And then chapter 7 is whether or not to surrender Roland initially. I didn't do that.
Give him up. No. Not happening, dude.
No.
Straight up. If anybody did make that decision first playthrough, that'd be interesting. But I feel like at that point, man, Roland is a bro.
At that point, he's
and you find out later how much of a bro he really is.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep. And then obviously that gives a couple different branching paths. On that one, you can either accept Silvio's offer, or to make for the Telior domain, or reject it. I rejected him.
We both said fuck Silvio, bro. And that was unanimous.
Yeah, and he's always gonna backstab you no matter what you do in any path.
Well, I could have told you that. Yeah. I mean, just being on New Game Plus round 2. I mean, I already know he's a snake.
Yep. And I assume did you destroy any of the fire traps in Wolfort on your first playthrough?
Destroy any of them? What you mean?
Like where you trigger the fire traps around where Avlora is coming up into the Wolfort domain, and there's fire traps built around the houses
Yeah.
and everything. Did you
Yeah, what
trigger
about 'em?
those?
Oh, I triggered them.
So that's
sure
the first
did.
thing on the golden route. You have to not trigger any of those if you get to that fight,
No shit.
because you use that as part of that. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So-
really good to know.
Yep.
Because I mean, look, I wasn't really thinking about the morality of it. I just, if everybody already came to terms with it, so I was like,
tried
I'm
it.
using it.
I remember on my first playthrough, I tried to not use them for as long as possible, but then I was like, it's got to be done. I have to make it shake. So I ended up, blowing one or two of them. But
I think I only maybe used 2, but
there's a
top
couple.
one,
They're all in kind of wonky places where you're not always. You don't just get a guaranteed slam dunk with
Nope.
using them.
I had to really, really specifically kite Evlora and like 5 or 6 units into that big rectangular top one. And I just said it, dude. And Evlora was done for.
Yeah.
And it was over with. That was actually a pretty simple one for me, just because I think I played it, lost, and was like, let me think about this. And I was like, I got to get as many of them as I can in this big one. I'm like, I'm not even worried about these little ones.
Yep.
At the southeast and southwest, I'm worried about that big one. So I was like, let me get some movement going that way, and it worked out.
Yeah. So for the golden route, I'm recall the golden route options where I can. I may miss one or two.
Hey, that's very appreciated.
I definitely recommend looking up a guide that if you want to actually go for it. Because
I'm going into chapter 6 of New Game Plus. That's where I'm at with the game.
Yeah, chapter 7 is where your decisions start to matter for the golden route. So
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yep. And then the next decision is whether or not to help Sorsley with his illegal salt trade,
which we did not.
I did not on my first playthrough. No,
I didn't either.
But you actually do for the golden route.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yep. So I didn't do that either. And then what I did want to call out as we're going through this is in this chapter, if you fail to find his secret ledger, what actually happens is you have to face Sorsley in a trial by combat, like Game of Thrones, like you're the accuser. You don't have enough evidence to convict him. So it's you against him. And it's in this deathmatch arena in Hyzant that has spikes at the bottom. I wish I had a picture of it, but I don't.
You were telling me about that, but I didn't. I must not have found the ledger because I fought that battle. Because that's what because we're talking, story spoilers. So I thought it was so hilarious and awesome that they were like, well, looks like y'all got to fight to the death. They don't even care. Like, Sorsley's either going to die or you're going to die.
Yep.
And
how sick was that field, though?
That field was sick, and that battle was so easy.
It was really easy.
It was
I didn't mention that when I told you about it, but yeah, all you have to do is have Eridor, and you're good to go on that one.
Ramfo, you're done.
Yeah. Because once they go down, they're not going to survive long enough to get back to the top.
Yeah, it's over. But yeah, that's so funny. You had mentioned it to me, and then I guess when I played through, I didn't think about that being the arena you mentioned. But as far as a story turning point, that was really funny to me that they were like, this is how they settle shit. Mm-hmm. They're literally willing to have one of the Saintly Seven just die in combat.
Yep.
Over something you accused them of but can't prove.
So on that path, there's a decision where you have to decide to reveal Roland on the path of helping Sorsley, which I know you haven't gotten to yet, but as far as golden route stuff, there's a decision where you have to reveal Roland's identity to Svarog or not. You have to reveal it. Yeah. So
reveal it to him.
You're actually partnering up with Svarog as part of this route.
That's the golden route. That's such a dirty move.
It all makes sense once you go through it.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure they wouldn't just have you do evil shit and that be the intention.
No, Svarog and Gustadolf don't get along. I mean, that much is obvious.
Svarog is actually he's kind of like a homie as far as characters go.
And when you're on that help Sorsley route, you actually bro up with him big time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that until my second playthrough, because I did not help Sorceley the first time. So you don't even end up going to Esfrost at that time, which when you help Sorceley, that's who you're delivering your salt to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I knew Svarog was a homie. I knew it.
But we went through that. There's chapter 13, which has the beautiful message of the story is approaching a turning point. It is recommended you save your current progress. And the very first time I saw that, I sent you a picture of it, and I was like, this is how you know shit's about to get real.
Yep. And when I got to that moment, I felt it.
Yeah, because that's when you decide.
Turning point.
That's when you decide, if you're going to go through with Roland, Benedict, or Frederica's plan of what to do next. And that decides, one, which a story character that you get, and two, it's a big decision point for the story of the game.
Is that the one? That's where you have to decide how to deal with Asfrost in Glenbrook, right? Like when they're in the Crown City?
Exactly right.
Okay, and you and I guess both, if you chose the same as me, chose to actually use
the Elfric on the boat.
The Elfric on the dam. On the
dam. No, I didn't do that. I used it on the boat the first time. I invaded the castle, destroyed the boat. So that's interesting. That's a difference. But I did destroy the dam the second time. And
I destroyed the dam the first time.
That's a fun fight, going to that map that has like the huge split off to the right. I can't remember the exact name of the city.
Are you talking about the nighttime where you have to like get over to the bomb site?
Exactly.
Dude, I cheesed it so hard. That was one of the funniest battles of the entire game. I used Huet and flew around undetected. And then I kind of just brought a few units in like Saranoa, Erador, Roland, and then kited them out and squeezed Roland in and won. It was hilarious. All you have to do is have one unit over there with none of the other ones occupying it, and you win.
Yep. But that was a good part of the game. But yeah, I chose to do Benedict's plan, that is Benedict's plan. I chose to break in and destroy the ships, but all of them kind of end with the same fight, which is fighting Erica and Thalos on the bridge in some way, shape, or form.
My thoughts on the matter, whenever you had to think between the three, Benedict is a wise man. Mm-hmm. You have learned that as you play through this game.
But he's also cruel.
He can be cruel.
He's very cruel,
but he's very effective.
He is effective.
Now,
absolutely.
sometimes the game, you have to make some decisions that are kind of difficult, but you also have to think about
one of the biggest cases.
How
for sure.
dire the situation is, though. I mean, that at this point, when you're making this turning point decision, the situation is dire.
Yep.
I mean, like Asfrost is about to literally own Norzalia, bro. Like it's almost about to be over.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a big one for me, man. I had to think about it hard. I wanted to go with Roland's shit, but when I was, I thought I'm putting big thinking into this, and what if you go to take the?
Yeah, it's respectable.
What if you go to take the secret paths? They got you clocked, and Roland dies, man. They all lead
to interesting stuff for sure. That's one thing you'll see is that all choices eventually lead to a similar scenario, right, where you're doing a fight or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But big fan of that chapter, and of course it makes a huge difference. In this chapter, I don't think it actually matters what you do in terms of the golden route.
So whenever we made the decision between the three, we would have still gotten the same ending.
Correct.
Based off of, because you and I apparently got the same ending when we talked about it.
That doesn't affect the ending. You choose your ending basically, but you just have to do certain things along the way to get the golden route.
I gotcha.
So the next big choice is chapter 15, basically what to do after the battle with Esfrost. Either return home to Wolfort, go defend the Rosellan village.
That was a tough one, T.
Yep. Or stay in the capital and fight the royalists.
I went to the Rosellan village.
I did too on the first time.
Yep. I thought that I trusted Benedict to get the word to my father. I had a feeling what was going to happen was going to happen. That's what almost made me not do it and just go back to Glenbrook. To House Wolford. But I felt like along the way back home, man, we could take care of some business real quick, you know.
Yep. And it's
and
definitely
you're feeling for the Rosellans so much at this point.
for sure. And the whole story is like that. And some of the choices, like if you choose to give them up, man, it feels brutal the whole time.
Oh man,
You can really screw over the Roselle with your choices in this story.
you could really walk, I think about when you go to the source and you think about Sarah Noah walking around it. When you pick to go to Hyzant, you actually get to see it, which is pretty messed up.
It is.
Whenever you get to explore the source.
That's later. You don't get to go into the source in chapter 3. It's like later when you go back to report Sourcely or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah. It is. It's messed up, man. People are just dying. No one cares. Like it's brutal. It's one of the most.
They put one of them down.
Oh my god! Yeah.
This game goes there, dude.
It does. It's really
this
really
game
dark.
goes there.
We'll talk about that a little bit.
We should.
But chapter 15, the golden route, you have to go back to Wolford.
Okay.
And that
almost did it. I almost went back home, dude.
Yep. So I think, and one thing I'll say here, and that I'll probably reiterate later, is I don't think anyone should take the golden route on their first playthrough.
I think you should do the first playthrough how we did. Think about it yourself.
Yep.
Go with your intuition and get the ending that's truly your ending for the first playthrough.
Because without getting into details, each of the endings of the main 3 are bittersweet. And you always end up alienating someone and allying with someone. The golden ending is what like. It's basically you do the best parts of all 3 endings without any of the downsides, and everyone's basically happy at the end. But that's not very satisfying if you don't see the normal endings and how bittersweet they are.
Absolutely, man. Because the ending that we got was very bittersweet and kind of, in a way, kind of like leaves you hanging with some kind of shitty thoughts. A big question mark.
Yeah.
One big question mark for me, you know what I'm saying, just the Roland situation and our ending.
Yep.
I don't know how much in the detail you want to get into it. Just there's so much about the game, man.
We'll finish out our path here. In chapter 15, if you go to Wolford, you unlock Milo. If you stay in Glenbrook, you unlock Cordelia, who I'll get to a little bit later when we start talking about specific characters, but having Cordelia is actually insane. And on the Rosellan Village side, you can either unlock Travis or Trish, depending on if you gave the Roselle up or not initially. So unfortunately, this means that just to unlock the other of Travis or Trish, you have to play through the game 4 times, which is currently where I'm at.
Oh, that's what you told me, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly because
just
otherwise,
to get Travis,
just to get Travis or Trish, yeah, whichever one that you don't get whichever one you don't get, yeah.
Yeah, I had gotten Trish.
Yeah, it really sucks because otherwise you'd have all 30 characters, in 3 playthroughs, and I think that would make a lot of sense, but having 4 playthroughs also makes sense, I guess, if you consider the golden ending. You get to kind of see each ending once, so that's fine. But yeah, just wanted to mention that that is kind of the deciding point for those 3 characters. Milo is incredible, and so is Cordelia. Trish is probably the worst of the 3 that I have, and I can't speak on Travis because he's the only character I haven't unlocked.
They got some sick archers in the game, man. I mean, like you said, we'll talk about it with the units, but one thing I realized unlocking these characters, I think I have 23 out of 30. You get quite the layout of archers.
Yeah, absolutely. In chapter
shout
2,
out to Archibald.
yeah. Oh my God, Archibald is incredible. In chapter 3, the S-Frost route, you get Rudolph. He's pretty interesting.
I got Rudolph.
Yeah,
he kind of looks like Cloud. At first, I thought he looked like Cloud.
Yeah, he's pretty decent. Not anywhere near as good as Archibald, but I think he's probably better than Trish. And yeah, there's a lot of good archers, but then you just have pretty much the ending choice, which I know we both took the Benedict ending the first time around, and now I've gotten to see the Frederica ending and the Golden ending. There is a golden route. Are you aware of what the golden route unlocked character is? It's gonna have to get spoiled for you, man. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not.
The character that you unlock by getting the golden route is General Avlora herself.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, she is really, really good and really fun to play with.
I bet, dude. I mean, like her as a unit on the battlefield was intimidating enough. So
yeah, you can actually unlock the bloody cross thing. If you've seen her use that, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
I mean shit, that's what instilled the fear in me to actually burn my own town down. That's why I used the fire traps. I didn't want to take her on, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But yeah, you do. That is your special reward, kind of, for beating the goal or getting to the golden route. Is you unlock her pretty much like the first thing, so you get to use her in the end parts, which is really great.
I'm looking forward to getting around to it because it's definitely gotten around to. I mean, I'm continuing with this new game plus, and just. I can only imagine, like you said, that every decision kind of branches off differently. It's cool that it's not just at these pivotal points. There's these big points, but then there's little points. Mm-hmm. There's so many little decisions, and then the dialogue in itself. Whenever you have 3 decisions to make, and I think we briefly brought up how you can unlock the third option in some situations, and that might be the right one for the case.
Absolutely. Doing the exploration, you get to kind of unlock different pieces of dialogue. And one thing that I love is on subsequent playthroughs, you keep that. So you don't have to necessarily find all those triggers again, unless it's a special one, like finding the stone in the Rosellan village or whatever, where you have to go through certain things. But in general, like when it says you learned XYZ, like you keep that for subsequent playthroughs.
Yeah, and I also noticed that whenever you on New Game Plus, all the items that were there before are not there again.
That's correct. But
so that definitely saves some time with exploration mode.
It does.
There's been a thing or two.
At this point, I skip through every cutscene and exploration phase, except for the ones that I haven't done before on new choices.
True, yeah. I'll just, if anything, fast forward some, you know. Mm-hmm. And if it's something I've definitely seen.
And I will say that makes future playthroughs much quicker, because I still play out everything that I haven't seen, but just being able to skip straight through everything that I have, like it's much more time spent battling, much less time spent, storying.
Another thing that makes your New Game Plus playthrough go much quicker is the fact that you're not really fed the mock battles as often as you were initially. That's just going into chapter 6. That's my experience so far. Sure, yeah. Maybe more come up later, but I feel like before I'd be checking almost every major story event because there'd be something new in the tavern, Mm-hmm. But of course, closer you get to cap, I'm sure they're a little more gapped, right?
I think once you get closer to the end in your current playthrough, you'll start to get more, because whatever the highest level one you have now, you'll start to unlock stuff after that once you get to around that level, I think is how it works.
Oh, I got you.
So as you approach level 50 with like some of your characters, that's when you'll start to unlock those mock battles. It happens pretty seamlessly. Like, you tend to stay around the same level as your enemies in the story in this game, like even through subsequent playthroughs, and the way they pull that off with this scalable experience. Like, if you're much higher than an opponent, you get almost no experience. If you're much lower, you get a ton, right? You can get a whole level from one action.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps the game feeling really balanced, and I like that a lot.
You know what else keeps the game really balanced is the fact that, like, when you unlock a character, they balance it out with your current mains.
Absolutely.
Like I love the fact because whenever I got back in to the new game plus, I used the mock battles to use units I wanted to level up.
I did the same. Yeah.
I thought that it was the perfect opportunity up until the battles got too difficult to where I couldn't use this wacky cast. And then I'd start peppering them in ones that needed, leveled up more. And once it got to where, okay, now I need to use my good units that I leveled up.
And maybe you'll have like one training unit. Yeah.
Totally. I'm sure you did the same thing I did.
Pretty much same thing.
So yeah, and that did a lot. But I noticed that now, I think last night I just unlocked Groma and Decimal.
Decimal is insane. We'll have a whole character kind of thought process here closer to the end. But I love Decimal, man.
Decimal is the most unique of the units so far, and I don't have too many more to unlock, so that's saying a lot.
One of the most unique units in the game, definitely. He can hit enemies all over the battlefield, and he makes a few fights, mock battles especially, that would be, and even one story battle, that would be almost impossible and that I had to retry a million times. Using Decimal was actually the answer in several occasions. Yeah. He has an attack that you can unlock that hits all units within range that are five squares higher than him. So in these maps where you start down in the valley and all the enemies are up top,
there's a few of them.
You just spam Decimal and you just fire the Decimal cannon as often as you can, and you pump all your TP into Decimal and just try and get him to take as many turns as possible and
feed him. Yeah, just feed Decimal. That's awesome.
Man,
he's an automaton, so it kind of gives him a crazy advantage because when we revealed the automaton situation, that was like, holy shit, in this universe that is unheard of.
Yep, and there's an item in the game called the Black Anklet, which
I have it. Yep.
Yeah, if you equip it, your character doesn't regenerate TP on their turn, but Decimal already doesn't do that, so it's a free equip for him.
Absolutely. That's one of those big brain RPG item situations.
Yeah, and it just straight powers him up in like every stat, which is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, man.
Groma, not interested. She's probably one of my least deployed characters. She's pretty cool, but
I haven't used her yet.
She's pretty cool. She hits somewhat hard and she's pretty tanky, but she doesn't excel anywhere in practicality. Like it's hard to not just use Eridor or Flanagan where you would use her.
Yeah, man. Like whenever, that's one thing that anyone who plays this game is going to find. When your arsenal is up, like ours in the 20s, and everything's leveled very decently for the most part, sometimes these decisions on you got to deploy 7-9 units, really tough decisions.
It's tough, but it's fun to come up with a specific strategy.
It's situational.
Yeah, because I've had some deployments where I didn't have any traditionally strong characters in this game, or I had almost none of like the main characters, you know what I mean? And it just ended up being all situational characters like Jens, like, stuff like that, Julio, and just ended up kind of having a unique build around strategy.
I used Julio for a minute in the story, man.
I do too. Yeah, I like Julio, but I don't
use him as much anymore, but I used him going through, a good portion of maybe the first half of the game.
When you get into hard mode, which I'm excited for you to get there. I think you're going to probably play your next playthrough on hard.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I did as well.
I'd probably do Goldenrod on hard. Is that what you did?
No, I did Goldenrod on my second playthrough
that's
normal.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing Goldenrod on this normal playthrough.
And then I did hard next one.
And I'm going to do hard and then whatever I need to do to unlock my characters.
Yeah, but on hard mode, you have to game plan every battle meticulously. You can't just throw your favorite units out. Every single choice matters, and there's a lot of battles that I had to retry 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
You told me about some heartbreak on hard mode, man.
But it makes it that satisfying to beat it as well. And there are ways to cheese the game, right? There's a few cheese strategies that you can use, but it's hard to implement for one, and for two, like realistically, like even what people would consider cheese is still difficult to pull off and like rewarding to do.
That's the thing I was going to say too about that, Tyler, is that sometimes it's hard to define cheesing with well thought out strategy.
Yeah.
Because there's been points where I've been like, oh man, I'm cheesing the fuck out of this. But sometimes, it could have been because you placed this unit in this sector in range of this. And it's just a complete advantage.
There is one character that completely breaks the combat of the game that I don't think you have yet, named Quahog.
Oh, I don't have Quahog.
He...
Like where Peter Griffin's from?
Yes, spelled the exact same.
Really? That's awesome.
He's a little kid from Hyzant who can stop time. So
Shit.
You know the stop quietus?
Is that the clairvoyant that I'm going to be unlocking?
Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I'm really close to unlocking him,
Yeah,
man.
you know the quietus that you can get that like stops a unit for 1 turn?
Yeah.
He does that to all units on the battlefield for 2 turns.
So you have 2 rounds of turns?
But it does your units too, and he's not that strong. So you have to build around it, but you can find ways to cheese it where you can get your units free, or at least 1 or 2, and keep all the other units locked down and just go around and beat up on the whole map. So
that is an interesting ability. I've got, like, as far as what the game is and how the combat goes, that's very, very unique.
He also has an ability where you can switch places with any unit, so you can just like get your death ball, switch places with the boss, and trap them inside all of your units, and you know how that goes.
Wow, that's an amazing ability. Also, that's on some like Dragon Shield 2-fold turn shit.
Quahog is on that level where you can build a strategy around his abilities and win a fight with it. Definitely.
That's crazy, man.
But I only use him sparingly. There are like mental mock battles where it's like survive 100 turns. That is Quahog special right there. I have no shame about using that on hard mode because it makes those pretty much free, but that's okay.
I anytime there's like the mock battles where it's been like, the 100, like survive this many turns and it's like a crazy amount of turns, I'll just pick a solid team, fight until everybody dies and there's a few units left. Keep Anna alive. Take cover.
Yeah, Anna's another one who kind of is broken.
I think Anna is where you can break it. I mean, like completely, dude. Like the take cover thing.
Because you can always be covered if you time it right.
Yeah, so like the mine cart one where like you had to like hold out for 100. I got everybody away all the way across the map, and it had Anna like on the square to the complete southeast of everything. It did all the fighting right there at the bottom of the mines, and by the time it got down to it, and when I lost my unit before last, it was probably 20 turns left. Dude. I just waited it.
You just
waited it out.
Yeah, waited it out. Nice.
I took cover, but I really didn't need to. It was just a precaution.
Mm-hmm.
But I had made sure all the mine carts were moved towards me.
Yeah.
And that was a strategy. So none of them could take mine carts, and they'd all have to walk, and they don't even have enough turns to get there. But that's the type of strategies that this game provides to you to think out that are incredible. That's not, that sounds like cheesing, but that is a strategy. It's a way to approach it.
And that's about as bad as it gets in this game. And that's still not free. And also, if you really go full cheese with that, it's going to take forever to win. Not in the 100 turns ones, but if you're actually trying to defeat every enemy with Quahog, you're going to be there for a while. So that's the trade-off, right? And that's why the main reason I haven't used that exploit, really. I don't think I've actually successfully gotten a full good Quahog loop set up in any fight, but I've definitely used him to great effect at times.
There's many units in this game that I feel like if paired together you've got like a success thing going on.
Definitely.
And also, we talked about utility, man. Sometimes, like, I remember when I first unlocked Jins or Yens or however you say, he sometimes one ladder can change a battle completely, especially when he gets ladder 2.
Yep.
That can just one single ladder changes some of these battles absolutely completely.
Yeah, Yin's final ability that he gets is an automatic turret where you can post up.
I have that.
Oh yeah, it's sick, man. I love that ability so much.
It's funny because a lot of the final abilities are where how you used that unit before is completely turned on its head because something is now at your disposal that
is so strong. Yeah.
That makes you consider choosing that unit.
Definitely. There's a lot like that.
And man, that's a big thing I wanted to touch on. I know we're going to talk about units in general, but like the upgrading system as far as the weapon upgrades and the rank upgrades with the medals of bravery and just that whole system is perfect, Tyler. And I think you'll agree with me on that.
I do, yeah.
It's incredible because that's their way of giving you skill stat trees.
Yep.
And it's done so well because I found all these resources you need kind of naturally come. I've never purchased a single resource yet. Of course, I'm getting to the point where that's optimal.
Once you buy some upgrades, like once you get to the end and you're trying to just upgrade everything, you'll end up having to buy a ton.
I've upgraded everything that I could, like literally possibly. Everybody is weapon rank 3 except Roland because I haven't gotten a second Azure crystal yet. Do you get the second one in the same spot the first one was?
You can buy them. You can buy them from Archibald's shop.
They're not. It's not available in my shop.
Oh,
not an Azure crystal.
You may just have to wait. Yeah,
I think it's like in the middle of the Elder's hut in the Rosellan village. That's where the one I found to upgrade Sarah Noah
I think you'll be able to buy. You'll be able to buy whatever you need for the weapon upgrades eventually from Archibald.
Yeah. I have all of them, everything. Like everybody's weapon rank 3. Roland is still 2 because I haven't gotten a second Azure crystal. I probably should have just looked it up. Where do I get an Azure crystal from? Yeah. I could have just done that, but I haven't looked up anything.
The tier 3 upgrades are different too than the tier 2 items. So
yeah, I know. And everything's available for the most part in the Kudos shop,
in the Archibald shop. Yeah.
Yeah, to where any unit I get, I can upgrade it fully. The only thing is Roland with that Azure crystal. It's the only thing that has been not available yet.
You're not missing anything. Don't worry. Roland is probably one of the least playable characters in the game once you get up to the higher level fights and everything.
He's pretty useful throughout the initial story.
For sure.
But I found that after, of course, we made some decisions that led to him no longer being in the party, correct? Yeah. So after he was in my party, I was like, oh, shit, that's shitty. No more Roland. I actually was performing pretty well without him, so I could see where you would say that, I guess.
I think he
was handy while he was around.
He's probably one of the weakest units in the game overall in terms of his overall kit's effectiveness.
I think the most useful thing he's ever done for me is just the fact that he can do pushback. That's a big help.
That is a big
situations.
Help. That's one of your... Yeah, that's one of the biggest appeal factors. He gets his final attack 4 dragons. It's nice because it like ignores defense, so it can do 300-400 damage on a critical, which is obviously insane.
Like elite armored guard is going to be pretty fucked still.
Yeah, you're going to be able to hit anything really hard, but that is about the best thing he has going for him. And I find myself... I wouldn't bring him in just to use that, but there are obviously fights where you're forced to use him in the story.
In these arenas where you got these enemies that are doing that shit to you, you need to be using Eridor and Roland and pushing them off, you know. I think there's a couple of battles where you have to kind of deal with them pushing you off the arena or pushing them off the arena.
Yeah.
And then you have to stairs back up, you know.
I think Rudolph gets a staggering arrow that pushes people back as well. And
that's awesome.
Hasabara gets pushed back as well.
Oh, that's right, huh? Hasabara does have pushback. I remember that.
I
didn't use her as much initially because I feel like that's one of the ones I failed to level up for a while.
She takes some getting used to, but she has an ability where if she does a follow-up attack with you, like if you're another character and she does a follow-up attack on your attack, both her and you get healed. That is a nice ability.
That is a very nice ability. As far as mages and shit like that go, it's so funny how I kind of initial playthrough completely 100% powerhouse through with Frederica and Corentin.
And that's all you need. They're the best. Best mages.
I just rolled with them, but I fell in love with Narv later on, man. After I leveled them up and started using them after those mock battles.
I just skipped to the slide on the encampment so we could kind of talk about characters here because I feel like that's where this is going.
Definitely.
But so real quick, for anybody who's watching along, I had a really hard time finding one single picture that would encapsulate every character in the game. So this is actually my encampment from my Switch. So it's missing Travis. So, but every other character is here.
And like I said, this was a confidence booster because mine looks pretty similar. I think, what am I, 6 units less than you?
Mm-hmm. You said you have 23?
23, yeah.
Yeah, so I have 29.
And I'm about to unlock 2. There's 2. I'm very close on utility and very close on liberty.
Yeah,
so it's Quahog and then one other one. I think it said a geologist.
Oh, yeah. She's useless. Don't worry about her. She's one of Giovanna. She's like one of the only characters in this game that I can't find a good use for.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Quahog though. You definitely got me stoked about that one.
Focus on Quahog for that grind because Giovanna, if she's your last character, you're not going to be missing anything.
Well, I'll bet I appreciate any word you have on any character or anything that I haven't, gotten around to. That way I know off top. You know?
You'll get Milo if you're going for Golden Route because she's what you get on that path, and she's absolutely incredible. I'm sure you get to play with her a little bit in the fight before that, but as an actual playable character, being able to tempt. Have you gotten Lionel?
Lionel?
Yeah. The merchant?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So
the fat man?
Yeah, of course. His voice actor is incredible. But
definitely, yeah.
He has the ability to tempt people, but it's very inaccurate. If once you start getting into tempting with Milo and Lionel's ultimate attack has a 100% chance to do it, it's very broken. And it's one of the things that carried me far in some of these harder fights on hard difficulty was being able to tempt enemies and have them start taking each other out. So once you get Milo, I'm looking forward for you to be able to have her kit because she does a lot.
I got to use Milo in a few battles towards the end of the game, and I found that in the one that you didn't do initially, where you have to get across with the street lights and get to the bomb zone by the dam.
Absolutely.
The travel, that was the best part. It's just the fact that you can jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that travel is insanity. And it was perfect for the strategy I was going for. Trying to close in around the light. I didn't figure out how to get off.
Milo was in a lot of my deployments. She's probably one of my most deployed units. I actually can, since I'm in the encampment, I can see what are my most deployed units. Yeah. But, yeah, she is unlocked when you go back to Castle Wolford. So
awesome.
Yeah.
You got me firing it up too. If you're just going into your encampment, it's funny. I'm wondering, did you have the same situation as me, where whenever you went into New Game Plus, you had a few characters that were pretty neglected?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I assume you would. I mean, it's really hard to evenly give all of these the proper time when you're trying to actually win.
Yeah, even in my third playthrough, I didn't have all my characters to level 50 until some way through the playthrough. And I don't think I hit level 50 on my second playthrough with anybody until late in the game.
Yeah, okay. But the mock battle thing was a big booster.
For
and
sure.
like I said, the fact that when you unlock them now, they're like kind of like equalized with your team. When I got Decimal and Groma, they were like level 38. I was like, awesome. They're like instantly throw them right in.
Yep.
See what's up with
That
them,
goes
and
on
then they're
too.
leveled up.
Once your whole squad is level 50, like when I unlocked Cordelia, my only character of my previous playthrough, she was level 50 immediately.
It's funny because I wouldn't have expected Cordelia to be one of your characters you could actually play as, but yeah, here we are.
It is crazy because, right, she's the character that I have that I've had the least amount of time with, but she is very strong, and I wish that I had her
Is she
sooner.
like a healer, or
She's a healer. But
okay,
she
that's
can
what I would have
heal.
thought.
Her ultimate ability is she can heal people over their max HP.
Wow.
So, and she heals like 400. So she'll literally, like most of my
So
characters.
if she hits them with the heal, it'll up their max HP indefinitely.
No, she over heals. Like it'll say like 800 out of 400. For
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But she can heal like you know how have you gotten to, I don't know if you would have seen this yet, but have you ever seen a boss with an HP that was like question mark question mark question mark?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe once.
You'll see that as you go along and get into further in the game, because these boss characters, once they have over 1,000 HP, it turns into 3 question marks. It took me a while to realize that that's what that meant, but yeah, once they have over 1,000 HP, their HP will be question marks, because I guess there's not enough digits on the little readout for it. But Cordelia can get your characters into question marks because she can do it multiple times. Like
That's intimidating to the enemy, bro.
And that was the only, like, she was one of my key ways that I was able to beat the assassins, which is the last mental mock battle where you have to beat 100 units. I struggled with that one, but with Cordelia's overheal, and then Gila has the ability to give anyone a revive. Those 2 abilities were clutch. I basically had an overheal and a revive on every single member of my team, and that's how I was able to like beat it without actually with the max number of units.
Based off of how I've played, I would think that Gila is a very viable healer because it's the only healer I've used heavy.
Do you have Medina?
I do.
Her ability, once you unlock her TP physic ability, which is like she can, when she uses a healing item on someone, and when she uses a healing item on someone, that gives them 1 TP. And so that works with the ranged pellets, so you can give 5 units TP at once. And then when you start using double items, you can give 5. You can do that twice in 1 turn. So she actually goes infinite with herself because double items cost 3. So if you're hitting yourself and 4 other units, you're going to have double items every turn. It's a very expensive strategy. Gold wise, but it does work, and it's needed, I would say, for certain parts of the game. Medina is actually busted in this game.
See, that's the thing. Medina was one of my neglected ones. I'm looking here, and I have Medina at level 26 right now. So
Medina is busted. Get TP Physic unlocked, and then you can give her the Vanguard Scarf and hit your whole team with a 2+ TP boost to start the fight, every single fight.
That's pretty amazing, dude. How do you know how viable as far as like late game Izana is? Because the idea of having a shaman in the game is something that's dope to me. I like Narv is like what I would gravitate to because of the utility. If I had to like have one, if I could pick one and have it leveled to where I'm at now immediately, because Narv's like 26 also.
Thunder attacks, electric attacks are extremely strong in this game.
They almost always paralyze.
Yes, and Izana has that. Like she has a Rite of Lightning
Rite of Lightning,
attack.
yep, and the Rite of Wind.
I would say that's really strong. Narv's electric attack does more damage. Hers, I think, has a
spark.
Yeah, I think hers probably has a slightly higher chance to paralyze.
But spark still paralyzes frequently.
I would say when I find myself wanting Izana is maps where I feel like, because her ultimate ability hits the entire map. It's called Rite of Thunderstorms, and it hits every opposing unit on the map.
Which I think I feel like I've seen that used, but haven't used it myself. No, I'm probably wrong about that. But that is incredible. How many does it hit for decent damage?
It hits for decent damage, but it doesn't necessarily hit accurately. I think if you create a rain or a windstorm or both first, you will get an accuracy boost. But it does, attack each opponent and have a chance to paralyze them on the field, which is really nice. So if there's 30 units, even though you're not hitting them all accurately, even if you paralyze 2 or 3 units at a time, that's busted, right? Like that's already insane.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
So that's when I find myself bringing in Azana, is I'm like, I need to hit every unit on the map as many times as possible.
I like how the formula never fails. The healers have got to go. As far as priority,
and
but
the
on
battle
this
mages.
game, that's what I was about to say. As far as this game goes, though, I think you were the one who even said it after I mentioned to you that the battle mages are fucking broken.
They will destroy you.
They will destroy you. You have got to get rid of them. They hit for way more than anything's physically hitting you.
Absolutely.
Like, they got to go. So in a lot of situations, man, I actually found success in prioritizing the battle mages getting out of there before the healers.
That's what I'm going to always do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to happen. But because the healers, for the most part, they don't heal for a lot. And also, you can kind of cheese healers by putting a unit right next to them, because then they'll do the shitty physical attack that does nothing and waste their turn healing.
What's even better is tempting an enemy healer and then they heal your units.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's top tier shit right there.
That's fun stuff.
But as far as base level cheesery, if you put a unit next to a healer, there's a very good chance that they're just going to strike. They might just move on the other side of you or something and just swing at you with their book and hit you for 1 damage.
Battle mages are priority 1 at all times.
They will step 2 squares away from you and strike the fuck out of you.
Absolutely. As long as they have the TP, they're going to mess you up.
Yeah. Then they're not going to resort to the book as often as the healers, I don't think. Like, I haven't seen the healers really step away a few squares and cast a heal quicker than they would like try to do an attack or something. So it's funny how you can get a lay of the land of how these units operate sometimes.
Absolutely.
And act accordingly,
It's interesting. I'm looking at my times deployed for all my units, and of course the story characters are my top 7. Like,
what's your number 1, bro?
My number 1 is just Serenoa, because you have to deploy him so much.
How is my number 1? Well, I mean, is Serenoa not going to be on here because you have to deploy him?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, never mind. I see. Okay. So, Gila.
She's your next one?
Next one.
Nice. Mine is Eridor, then Benedict, then Gila.
No shit. Mine is Gila, then Frederica, and then Roland.
Roland is my only one of the top 8 of like the 8 main characters that got beat out by an unlockable character.
That's so funny because I'm looking at this and really all of my top are the main characters.
8. Well, that makes sense because those are the ones you've had the most. For me, I've had 3 playthroughs with most of these. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, you've put in much more time.
Yeah.
I've put in 70 plus, like I'm at 70 and a half hours. You put in probably 200. Man.
Yeah, I'm at about 185 on this save file. It's wild.
Yeah. I think I made sure to make a mental note when I saved last. It was like 70 hours and 34 minutes.
Yeah, but I have Archibald over Roland. He's my only unlockable character, beating any of my story characters.
Archibald is right there.
And then Jens is my next one.
As soon as I got Archibald, man, I wouldn't make a pick between them. I actually, a lot of times, opted to use Archibald and Hewitt.
There's going to be fights where you want as many archers as possible. There's going to be fights where if you have 4 archers, you're going to have all of them on your squad. Like,
Sometimes they have fights where there's a lot of archers on the other side, man, and that
And
can be a
need 'em.
problem.
Yeah, you need the archers to hit the other archers because they're strong against each other. But Archibald, Inescapable Arrow, that's another one that it's needed in some hard fights.
I love Inescapable Arrow, dude. So, I mean, sometimes, you know, if you've got like an elite unit or like a boss that doesn't have a healer in range, you can just kind of like feed Archibald TP.
Absolutely.
And Inescapable Arrow, dude. And that is my shit right there.
Absolutely. Think about things like this and you'll start to understand, or when you start to enact it, Medina, for those types of situations, being able to pump. Yeah, it's
that's
insane.
that's like the early stages of that type of strategy, you know.
100%. Yeah. And you'll find situations where, like I mentioned, you have to feed Decimal. You'll find situations where I need to feed Archibald or Frederica. Luckily, Frederica sustains herself a little bit, but she's probably the strongest mage in the game just on base level.
I would say so. I mean, for the bulk of the game, for me, Blazing Chains was a main aggressor on my, you know, as far as early abilities. It's a good one, man, especially when you unlock that optional upgrade.
Yeah, I still use Blazing Chains now. Like, there's not anything better to be doing with her. It's just
I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's just strong.
Put the one where you could pick Scorch or Blazing Chains.
You picked the right one.
I sure did, didn't I?
Because hitting one unit hard, like as hard as possible, is more important necessarily than an AoE attack in many cases.
Absolutely. I think so, because it almost naturally always outdoes the healing, even if there's a healer.
And the times where you would use Scorch, which it does come up, but
it does.
The buff there is not going to make the difference. Whereas with Blazing Chains, the buff does make a difference, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And then with Corinton, I don't know if you did the same, but Frosty Feathers is just a really strong.
Yeah, same. They're basically mirror images of each other.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, that's
Corinton's ultimate is another one that is so strong that you will find yourself using it in hard fights. His attack, Glacial Moon, it hits a huge area.
I have that. Yep.
It hits a huge area, and he is absolutely like up there with Frederica in terms of DPS.
Which is like the equivalent of her Sunfall, correct?
Yes, but it hits right away.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah.
It doesn't take a turn off. Away. Yeah.
Yeah. The man, if you get the TP high enough, those Sunfall can be very OP, bro.
And Corentin has TP on ice, so you can always get yourself back up there a little bit.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that those, in your opinion, or factually, were the two main mages, because those are the two I just rolled clean through with, man. Because you unlock Corinton so early, I imagine most people are going to be using him immediately and then probably keep him around.
He does a lot. Wall of Ice can come up, a good bit where you've got archers and that are just mowing you down, but you can throw up a wall and slow that down a lot. Glacial Moon obviously is insane. I deployed Narv more than I did Corentin, just because I like Narv and I like the fact that he has a heal on his kit. Really comes in handy sometimes.
Oh, dude, definitely. That's what you want, man. I mean, that's like, that's just what you want. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You want to have an aggressive character that can do damage, but also have the utility of a heal.
And then Narv gets an accuracy increase at the end of his upgrades as well. Or not an increase, I'm sorry. He gets a range increase where his attacks go +1. Yeah. And that makes a +1 makes all the difference for the ranges of these characters.
Oh, yeah.
Because most times you'll be... If you have a ranged unit and your enemy is a ranged unit, you'll have about the same range most of the time. But when you have +1 and you can constantly attack and just stay slightly out of range, it makes an insane difference.
Inescapable Arrow type shit.
Yep. I mean, but you can build your own with that, and that's what you want. I wish Narv had some way to power himself. That's the only thing he's missing. But that Frederica and Corentin have as a way to attack every turn. But you're going to be pairing him with either Medina or Julio. I mean, that, if you're playing Narv, you need to run one of those two.
Yeah. Definitely, dude. Julio is definitely good for that. But it's funny because I noticed as I leveled him up, he is also not out of the question for doing damage.
Not at all. He has some really strong attacks. His attack, Best Regards, it's a magic-based, it's like a magic-based attack. So it
ignores defense, right?
It just uses magic attack. It might ignore defense, but it does insane damage to these shield knights that you see at the end of the game. And when you get to these elite shield knights and you can hit them with Julio's Best Regards for 400 damage, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, because whenever you get those 600-700 HP shield knights, those are something you need to.
And regular physical attacks are not going to hit them very hard at all.
Exactly. That's where you want your distanced,
your magic-based attacks, your typeless attacks, that kind of stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. Going face to face, they're just going to keep trying to come around you and strike you and try to get the follow up. But
I agree. Julio does double duty. His normal base attack is stronger than you would expect.
And throwing it off to somebody real quick too. That's always handy. Yep. In a pinch, I mean, you can see this chaotic order of turns, at the bottom, but it's nice to be I would love to use this unit next. It's kind of like two-fold turn with Benedict. Mm-hmm. It's I would love to use this unit twice right now because, that'd be very helpful to do X, Y, in a row.
And that's another thing that Medina does as well.
I need to get Medina leveled up and understand fully.
The thing about her is you want to save. She's expensive to use in terms of money.
So you want to be well along with.
I feel like she's bring her out when you need her, when it makes sense. She's not an every fight person because you'll go broke.
But you want to have her leveled up and ready to go though.
That is the push pull, but that problem kind of solves itself if you bring in a lower level character against enemies that are 10 levels higher. You can even just use items on yourself to get EXP. You don't actually have to really do anything.
Yeah. One of the things about this game, I think we might have even brought it up in the review when we first started playing it, is the fact that not doing nothing gets you experience. If you do something, you're going to get something.
And if you do nothing, you get a speed boost to your turn. I'm sure you've seen that pop up, that tip pop up. But that makes a real difference.
Yeah.
To the point where just moving one or two squares versus staying put has a real downside. And I like that a lot. Because you can save you can move your character up three or four turns sometimes by not doing anything.
Because you wouldn't want to have the game punish you for skipping because it's a strategy. In a lot of situations it's optimal to just end your turn and pick a direction, move on.
When if you're doing that with a bunch of characters, it adds up to quite a bit where you're now suddenly getting 2 turns for every one that your opponent has, or 1.5 turns for every one your opponent has, which makes a huge difference.
Yeah, man, we've done some serious tech talk about the mechanics of the game.
That's what I wanted, man. That's really what I wanted out of this.
That's pretty cool. We kind of got down to the nitty gritty talking about combat a lot, and that's definitely what I wanted too out of it.
But we've gone way too long on this whole affair, I think, at this point. So probably just get some closing thoughts in here on Triangle Strategy, and then get a 3-shop going.
Yeah, man. I mean, final thoughts on it. This might be a serious thing here, but I would probably call this top 5 favorite games of all time.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy where
I'm serious.
You would never think that it would be like that, but I've certainly put more time into this game than any other game in recent memory. So I'm right there with you. I
mean, I'm at a point where it would be hard not to say that this is my favorite title on Switch.
I'm with you too, and that's saying a lot, man. Because we have a lot of time. But this is probably my second most time that I have in a Switch game at this point, after Smash. or it's definitely up there.
Yeah, I know there's not a lot of games that you put multi-hundreds into, and you're pushing 200 on this one. So yeah, that's a big one, man. But I mean, this game is. Every time I think about praising it, the first thing I want to praise is the graphics of it. So just closing, the game is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Just the sway of the grass, even just every little thing about it, bro. It's kind of like the full evolution of Octopath Traveler, like what they did with that.
The music stays in my head.
This is like a new age RE4 for us. With the new game plus, I feel like it's just it's that formula. We kind of long for that, don't we? In the games that we like, there's something beautiful about playing back through a game.
I agree.
So this game provides that, and it's going to be available on Steam Deck on the 13th, right up on my birthday, man. So this is a perfect time for us to get a little post game talk in. All the time we've put in, kind of just we've shared what we've learned along the way, kind of some of the decisions we made, maybe shared some combat tips with people that might have been very appreciative of us doing so. So
if you read online that a character is bad, I highly encourage you to use them yourself, because I've seen so many tier lists of this game's characters. People love making tier lists of this game's characters. It's one of the only forms of content that's out there. There's no challenge runs of this game or anything out there on YouTube that I can find. But when I look at these people's tier lists, I see people with Medina at the bottom, Benedict at the bottom, and it's like, all the characters are so unique and they all play such a unique, specific role that it's impossible. Like, everybody's individual tier list would be different from one another, because there's so many characters that you flavor to your play style. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, man, I've used Benedict maybe 2 less times than Sarah Noah, and I've won much more than I've lost. I mean,
no, Benedict is
Benedict is the man.
You can't make a tier list, in my opinion. Like, I would have a hard time doing that, but Benedict would be S or A for me. I mean, he's...
Yeah, what are you making a tier list based off a damage output?
No, yeah, I mean, it's not really about that. If we're just talking about character effectiveness, yeah.
You want to talk about utility. Yeah, you want overall utility as a character.
The only character I would have, like, bottom tier would probably be Giovanna. She's pretty bad.
Which I'm about to unlock, and I guess I will or won't understand, because I guess I shouldn't deploy her much. So.
Her attack, she's not useless, right? But all of her attacks except one are based on the terrain that she's standing on. So certain attacks only work in a grassy field. Certain attacks work if she's standing in water, that kind of thing. So it's very hard to use her in a way that is effective, because it's not as though the payoffs for these are that good. But I did join the Triangle Strategy Discord, and someone said, use her with ice, use her with Quarantine, and try her that way, because she has an ice attack. So if you can get Quarantine to get some ice down and then use Giovanna's ice attack, that it's actually good, which I have not tried. So I will not say for sure that that's not good.
Speaks to the strategy that goes into Triangle Strategy.
I've played through 3 full playthroughs, and I try to use as many characters as possible, and that still hasn't come up for me. So there's got to be a lot of combinations that I still haven't tried.
Yep. So we highly recommend this game on Steam Deck, on Switch. Free demo available. No reason not to get it.
Yeah, wherever you can get it.
So go ahead and get it. Trust us on it. If you haven't had a Switch, it's now on Steam.
Yep, no excuses. And you can play it on any... I mean, it's a HD 2D game. It's not... You can run it on a laptop easily, right? Like, you're not going to have any trouble running this on a laptop or anything if you don't have a Steam Deck or a gaming computer.
Demanding. It shouldn't be too demanding.
Yeah.
But I think that about wraps it up for the Triangle Strategy post-game review, Tyler.
I'm so glad we did this, man.
I think the best transition into the 3 shop would be with Triangle Strategy.
10% off.
10% off? It's a start. I mean, $53.99 as opposed to $59.99. That's until the day the game comes out. It's an introductory offer.
Are you going to buy this? Yes or no? Right here on the spot.
I'm going to, but I don't know when.
Are you going to make use of this sale? Probably not.
That's the question, though, man. I mean,
is $6 worth buying it earlier than you might? That's the question.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe
because you're still playing through it on Steam or on Switch. Excuse me. So
might eat shit on the $6, but man, I got to tell you, the fact that anyone who hasn't played this could get this for $53.99 from the jump. Really good.
It's an easy save right there. I
think the offer still stands that you talked about too. I think for like $60 you can get Triangle Strategy and basically get Various Daylight free or some shit like that. I mean, the
I don't know. There's a deluxe edition thing on the Steam shop that I'm not 100% clear on. If anybody knows what the difference is of the deluxe edition versus the base game on Steam just for Triangle Strategy.
Digital art book.
No, because it says that in the listing for the base game. But maybe that is the difference and it's listed wrong.
I thought that was, when I looked at it, I thought it was like a digital art book.
We'll see. We'll find out about that and report back.
A soundtrack would be interesting. That'd be good.
That would be, yeah. The music in this game is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Next up on the 3 shop, yeah.
Bayonetta. We talked about Bayonetta 3 with the Direct, and it just so happens that now they have the first Bayonetta. We talked about getting into it, going through the games perhaps, you know. Mm-hmm. The original Bayonetta from $19.99 to $4.99, 60% off until also October 13th.
Yeah, this is going to be one that I'm going to probably be pulling the trigger on for $5, man.
$4.99. I mean, that's an absolute steal. And with the recent Bayonetta 3 talks, that coming out at the end of the month, makes sense they put the first one on sale. I'm sure it's going to sell very well, but that price, shit. But the next one I'm very hype about, Bravely Default 2 on Steam. Another one that has some Switch exclusivity for a while.
That's a crazy deal, man.
Made its way to Steam for $29.99, which is normally $59.99. You're getting it 50% off until the 20th. That's 11 days left on that sale.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one to pass up if you didn't already have this game.
Tyler and I can both vouch that for $29.99, this is like getting a big ticket item for $5. You know, this is a big deal. $29.99 and access to this game on PC, Steam Deck, especially Steam Deck. That's a steal right there, my friend.
Absolutely.
And it's also an episode, Tyler. The Triangle Strategy official episode.
That's right. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, you can reach out to us at starroadpodcast@gmail.com. We also upload every single episode and additional clips to YouTube. Thanks to Sterling for doing that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell. You know, tweet about us. Comment. Post. Tag your friends. You know, smoke signals. War drums, whatever you got to do.
Get it out there.
Yeah, just get it out there. And yeah, that's going to bring us to the end. Sterling, any final thoughts?
Everybody download the Triangle Strategy demo. I don't know if they're going to have a demo on Steam, but I sure hope they will because the one on Switch is a beefy demo and a great way to start the game. But it's been great being here with you today, Tyler. It's always a great time.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
I appreciate it, man. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next time.
Peace.